Hi, welcome to week one of our Introduction to Nonprofit and Ministry Management course. My name is Andrew Sears. I'm the president of City Vision University, and I'm also the program architect for our Nonprofit and Ministry Management department. So let me just start off and tell you what the outcomes are for this course. And these are kind of the summary statements of what you should be able to do after you've completed the course. So this is a survey course, so the first item is really just a survey item. It's saying, you're going to sample all the aspects of nonprofit management. So identify the foundational theories and specialized skills of nonprofit management, including board management, finances, leadership, strategy, marketing, fundraising, human resources, and social entrepreneurship. The second thing, we're going to have a tool that's really going to map your own competencies across those domains. And then we're going to use that tool to help you develop your own professional development plan. The tool is called the Workplace Behavioral Profile. The third thing is we're going to use a tool called the Competing Values Framework, and it's going to talk about how each of those items of nonprofit management can go into one of four quadrants, and we summarize those as collaborate, control, create, and compete. And then the fourth thing is we're going to try to not just teach you nonprofit management. This course is called Nonprofit and Ministry Management. We want to help translate that into a ministry context or a church context or other nonprofit organization. And the last thing, all of our courses are highly dependent on working with nonprofit organizations. We're a very practical school, and we want you to be able to do assignments that are very practical. So to do that, we're going to help you identify a relationship with a nonprofit organization that you can use with different courses. If you're already with a nonprofit organization, we'll help talk with you about how you could connect with others in your nonprofit organization. And another thing, some of you may desire, if you're not at a nonprofit, you may be looking for an internship or a job, and we'll also work with you some on that. So the outline by week, the first one's just going to be a survey of the overall nonprofit sector, and then we're going to go by each of the four quadrants that I mentioned. So the first one's going to be the collaborate quadrant. That deals with human resources and relational skills. The control quadrant, which deals with governance, financial, and operations skills. The create quadrant, which is innovation and entrepreneurial skills. And the compete quadrant, which is business and funding skills. And then the week 6 is going to bring together all four of those quadrants into strategy and general management, integrating those. And then the last 2 weeks are going to be focused on, we want to give you a survey, and then we want you to think about, okay, what is your career plan in management and ministry? And we want to help you develop that, help you to develop a degree plan. And then the last is going to be talking about self-management. So one of the things to look at in this course is we have study guides, and just to explain, let me go ahead and actually skip to the next slide. The basic design of this course is we use something that's called Bloom's taxonomy in organizing our courses. So we provide content, and we often try to provide both reading and videos. And the goal, the first level of learning is just being able to remember and then understand. So we're going to have some basic assignments. So these open book quizzes, you're going to feel like this is very basic work. You're just trying to, remember facts. And that's because that's part of the purpose of this course. It's to get you to remember the facts about the overall nonprofit sector. And that's part of what a survey course does. We're going to have a lot of live meetings and forums. And as you go through assignments, you're going to be doing more application. And then as you move up, you go through analyzing, evaluating. And then at the end, in weeks 7 and 8, you're going to be going through a degree plan, a career plan, and a self-management plan. So weeks 1 through 6 is a survey. Weeks 7 and 8 are these plans. So how that relates to the previous slide is each week we're going to have, for the first 6 weeks, you're going to go through and read chapters. And we're going to give you a study guide. So what the study guide is, it's basically a copy of the open book quiz. And the way you should go through it is you should read through the chapter, have the study guide open. If I were doing it, I'd probably read through the study guide first. and as you read through the chapter, fill in the answers as you find them. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you have answered all the answers in the study guide, and then once you get that, then you can go to the open book quiz in our learning management system, Populi, and you don't need a proctor for this. That's why it's open book, and you can, if you want, you can retake each open book quiz one time. The goal of this is really to reinforce your learning. We're trying to, get you to think through what it is you're reading to reinforce the learning. Now, it should be noted that some chapters may either not have quizzes or will have optional quizzes that will be extra credit. Now, this is the only course we have that does extra credit in this department. Part of the reason why we want to do that is these quizzes are fairly long. I realize that they're going to take up a decent amount of time, so we don't want it to be too difficult for you. But at the same time, for students who have difficulty and want to go through the extra effort, they can use these quizzes for extra credit. All right. So just to explain how the books in this course work, we have an Introduction to Nonprofit Management textbook. It's kind of a generic textbook for Introduction to Nonprofit Management. It's called Nonprofit Management Principles and Practice. And that's one framework. So that's going to cover the nonprofit management aspect of this course. But then we also said this is ministry management. So we want to provide application in a Christian context. So this could be a parachurch ministry, or this could be a church. And that's why we have this Minister's MBA book. And then we also are, this course itself is intended to be the primary credit-based student orientation for students. And we intend for students to take this in their first or second term, beginning with 2021, whenever we're starting to offer this, because you're going to be doing a lot of things like degree planning, career planning, and we're going to provide a lot of supplemental material for that. So that's the overview of the course. Now let me get into the whole philosophy of our degree programs, how they're designed. Now, this course assumes that you are in one of our management and ministry degree programs. If you're in addiction counseling and taking this, then some of this may not apply to you. But let me explain to you how this course and how all our programs are designed. Now, if you've worked in the nonprofit sector, you realize there's this big tension between staff that have what I call a ministry mindset and staff that have a business mindset. So the ministry mindset staff are often your program people. They're on the front lines, and they often think the business people are too focused on the numbers and too focused on finances, and the business people, with the program people, were more rigorous and understood the big picture better. So you have this tension. And this is something called the competing values framework, because you have these competing values, the ministry mindset and the business mindset. And we'll talk about this in more depth later. And then you have another set of competing values, is staff that are in the operations mindset. So these are the staff that set the policies, that do the enforcement of the policies, your accounting staff. And then you have the entrepreneurial staff that they generally don't like rules. They like to be creative. And there's a tension between those. Now, one of the principles in designing all of our degree programs is that not everyone needs to have a strong level of balance, but the more senior they become and the more general management they do, the more balance they need. So if all you're doing is accounting and you're a lower level accountant, then you may be fine, being in this operations quadrant. But as you move up, you're going to need to understand all of these pictures, because all of these quadrants, because you're going to have to interface with them. So this is something, as I mentioned, that's called the competing values framework. I'll go into more detail. It's almost like a Myers-Briggs type test, but more for organizations, but it can be applied to individual management competencies too. So you have these different quadrants, and what we try to do in designing our degree program is we try to get you to have a balance where you're going to learn courses from all these quadrants. So you may be wondering, okay, what do you mean by ministry mindset? So if you look at a list of courses here, You see urban youth ministry, Christian community development, vocation, calling, and purpose of work, human resources, organizational behavior, leadership. All of these are basically trying to reinforce ministry skills, help you to do relational ministry better. Then you have business and funding competencies, so marketing, grant writing, nonprofit fundraising, managerial accounting. So that explains those competencies. And then we have courses that are in the operations and governance, so nonprofit startup and board development, nonprofit financial accounting, project management. And then we have other courses that are on innovation, so social entrepreneurship and small business management. And then we have a final set of courses that are trying to integrate across all 4 quadrants. So this course itself is in here in the introduction, and it's trying to integrate across all 4 quadrants. So a lot of this course is going to be talking about the integration between these quadrants, and you'll understand better as you go through. But then at the end, you could almost think of this like a sandwich, where you have the intro is one bun, and the other are strategy course is the other, and then all the courses you take in the middle are kind of the meat. So in the way this is going to work, in week 2, we're going to talk about the ministry and relational competencies. Week 3, we're going to go through the operations and governance competencies. And as I mentioned, this is a survey. Week 4, we'll cover innovation competencies. And week 5, we'll talk about business and funding competencies. In week 6, we're going to cover the strategy, which is combining all of those together. And then week 7 and 8, we're going to help you use all of this to develop a plan for yourself. So another way of looking at this, if you look at the primary textbook for this course and you look at the different chapters and you see all the courses that City Vision offers, we have a chapter that covers a lot of each of the courses we have. So there's a chapter 4 is on nonprofit governing board. So we have a course that covers board development. Then there's a chapter on leadership. We have a course on leadership. Then managing staff, that's human resources, marketing is marketing course, financial management. And we've mapped all of the chapters or most of the chapters to key courses we have. Now we have courses beyond this, and a lot of courses aren't mapped that we offer. So our Bible courses or counseling courses, general education, and some ministry courses. So part of what we're trying to do whenever you sign up and you're looking for a degree with City Vision in our management and ministry department is most people come in and you're going to have skills in one dominant quadrant, or it might just be a dominant quadrant from your personality type. So let's say that you're a bookkeeper for a nonprofit, or you've done accounting, and that's your dominant quadrant, or it could be an entrepreneurship, or it could be actually much more common as someone who's a program director and wants to move into management. So what you have is this is considered depth. And what we're trying to do is to get you to move from an I-shaped education to a T-shaped education. So we want to deepen your skills in your dominant quadrant, but we also want to broaden your skills in the other quadrants. So let me also talk about how City Vision's different management and ministry degrees compare. So we have our nonprofit management degree, and we have an MBA with a nonprofit management concentration. Both of those are intended to be a very balanced degree. Then we have our Christian ministry and leadership degree. That is for people who they want to take more in the relational quadrant, in the ministry mindset quadrant. And then we have our bachelor's in business, and that's for people who want to take more courses in the business quadrant. So if you signed up for the wrong degree and you want to change that degree based on your understanding, you can contact us at support@cityvision.edu. But part of what we're trying to do is we're trying to create bridge builders. So senior managers need to be balanced bridge builders. So often you're going to be working either close to the clients or close to those with resources. And you're going to be primarily serving one or the other. Even if you're in accounting, often you're providing accountability for those who are providing the resources. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to help, you have junior program staff that are very close to clients, and you have junior operations and development staff that are very close to resources. But if you want to be a senior manager in a nonprofit, then you need to learn to be a balanced bridge builder, to learn to operate in all 4 quadrants, even if you have your primary quadrant still. So another example of what this course is trying to do is just this analogy. So stage 1 is you use the same tool for everything. So if you're in the operations quadrant, you're like, it's all about the policies, it's all about, creating rules and systems. Or if you're an entrepreneur, it's all about just creative thought, right? And there's this thing called the law of the instrument, is if all you have it is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. So what we're trying to do is to get you to move from that to having an extensive toolkit. And what this course is this course is really a survey of opening up the toolbox, showing you all the tools, but then each individual course is going to be generating mastery over that tool. So you become a master of using the hammer and the screwdriver and the wrench. So then ultimately what we want you to be is we want you to be like this master engineer, where you have an extensive toolkit and you use the right tool in the right context. So strategic management and strategy, ultimately that's what it teaches. One of my favorite stories is a story, and this picture is actually a picture of this story, is there is a factory that had a big engine and it failed, and they went to many experts. They tried to get them to solve the problem. They finally brought in this old wise engineer who'd been fixing engines. So after inspecting the huge engine for a minute or two, he pulled out a hammer out of his tool bag and he gently tapped on the engine, and the engine started working. So a week later, he sent them an invoice, and it was for $1,000. And they wrote back to the man and they said, that only took you a couple minutes. Why are you, billing us $1,000? And he said, well, I billed you $1 for using the hammer and $999 knowing which tool to use and knowing where to tap. So ultimately, that's what we want you to be. We want you to be like the wise engineer who knows the right tool for the right situation and to know, exactly where to tap. So that's the goal of this course, and that's the goal of the degree program. So hopefully you'll find that useful throughout your courses. If you have any questions, please ask your faculty member.